Lieutenant Daniel Ross was not used to fancy parties. But today, he sat in the grand hall of the Celestara, a huge space station orbiting a distant star. The hall was filled with many alien species from across the galaxy. They all came here to talk about peace, trade, and alliances. Daniel was part of Earth's delegation. He was a pilot, strong and smart, but more comfortable flying his ship than talking to important people. Still, he knew this meeting was important. The future of Earth's place in the galaxy might depend on what happened here. The room was bright and full of strange colors. Aliens with many eyes, arms, and shapes spoke in their own languages. Some laughed, some argued softly, and some watched quietly. Daniel felt small among them. At the far side of the hall sat Princess Serenia of the Valari Empire. She was tall, graceful, and had deep blue skin that shimmered slightly under the lights. Her long silver hair fell over her shoulders. Many said she was the most beautiful alien in the galaxy. But Daniel saw more than that. He saw a sadness in her eyes. The Valari were known as fierce warriors. They valued strength, honor, and loyalty. Marriages in their empire were often political, arranged to keep power and peace. No one expected a princess to show kindness, much less smile at a stranger. Daniel noticed that no one dared to sit near Serenia. Diplomats gave her wide space, afraid to make a wrong move. But Daniel was curious. When a waiter passed by, he asked quietly, "Is this seat taken?" He pointed to the chair next to her. Serenia looked at him with surprise. Then slowly, she nodded. Daniel sat down, feeling the weight of many eyes on them. "I'm Daniel Ross," he said, trying to sound calm. "Princess Serenia," she replied, her voice soft but steady. For a moment, they both were silent. The noise of the hall seemed to fade. Daniel thought about something funny to say but didn't want to offend her. Finally, she spoke. "Humans are very bold," she said, her eyes studying him. Daniel smiled. "We don't have much choice," he said. "When you live on a small planet surrounded by big dangers, you learn to be bold, or you don't survive." Serenia smiled faintly, but it did not reach her eyes. Daniel wanted to make her laugh or at least relax. Trying to be brave, he said, with a small laugh, "So, Princess Serenia, marry me then." The words left his mouth before he could stop them. The hall seemed to get quieter. Daniel looked at her, expecting anger or surprise, but instead, the princess smiled. A soft, real smile that lit up her whole face. "I wish," she said quietly. Daniel froze. His heart beat faster. Was she joking, or did she mean it? Around them, some diplomats glanced their way. Some whispered quietly. Daniel felt the pressure of their gaze but couldn't look away from Serenia. For a moment, the noise of the room returned. But Daniel's mind was still stuck on her words. Serenia leaned slightly closer and said in a lower voice, "Few humans understand how rare that wish is." Daniel nodded slowly. "I don't think many understand how hard it is to be a princess either." She looked at him with surprise. "You see more than most. Maybe you are different from other humans." Daniel shrugged. "Maybe. I'm just a pilot who likes to fly. Politics confuse me." She laughed softly, a sound like wind through leaves. It was the first time Daniel heard her true voice, not the cold formality. Their talk was cut short when a loud voice called the princess away. She stood and looked at Daniel once more. "Be careful, Lieutenant," she said. "Not everyone here likes surprises." Before Daniel could answer, she was gone, swallowed by the crowd. Daniel sat back in his chair, still feeling the warmth of her smile. That night, in his small cabin on the station, Daniel thought about the princess, how a simple joke had changed everything. He did not know it yet, but this small moment would bring great changes, to him, to Serenia, and to their worlds. The next morning, the Celestara space station buzzed with activity. Delegates from many planets hurried through shiny corridors, talking in strange languages. The Grand Hall was already preparing for the next round of meetings, but a new story had quietly begun to spread. Lieutenant Daniel Ross walked down a hallway, his mind still on Princess Serenya's words from the night before. I wish. Those two simple words had sounded like a secret, a hope hidden behind the cold mask of a royal princess. Daniel wondered what it meant. He stopped by the station's small cafe, hoping for a cup of strong coffee to clear his thoughts. As he waited in line, he overheard a group of alien diplomats whispering nearby. "Did you hear?" one said in a low voice. "The Valari princess smiled at a human. That is unusual." Another replied, "Unthinkable. The Valari never marry outside their race. It would dishonor the Empire." Daniel felt a chill. Was the simple joke he made causing trouble? He thought about warning Serenya, but how could he? He barely knew her. Later that day, Daniel's commander called him to a quiet room. "Lieutenant," she said seriously, "I heard about your conversation with the princess." Daniel nodded, feeling nervous. "Be careful," she warned. "The Valari are proud and dangerous. This is not a game. You must avoid any political trouble." Daniel swallowed hard. "Yes, ma'am." But as he left, he saw something strange. Near the station's observation deck, Serenya stood alone, looking at the stars. Her expression was soft, almost sad. Daniel took a deep breath and approached. "Princess Serenya?" She turned, surprised to see him. "Lieutenant?" she said, quietly. "You walk fast for a pilot?" Daniel smiled. "Someone has to keep up with politics." They stood side by side, looking out at the stars. The silence felt comfortable. Serenya spoke first. "You know, many think my life is easy. But I am trapped. The marriage I must make. It is not my choice." Daniel looked at her with sympathy. "That must be hard." "It is," she said. "In the Valari Empire, marriage is power. It is a tool for peace or war. Feelings do not matter." Daniel thought of Earth, where people could choose who to marry. "Humans believe love is important." Serenya smiled sadly. "I have heard. I wish I could choose too. Maybe that is why I smiled at you." Daniel blinked. "Me?" She nodded. "You are bold and kind, different from others." Before he could say more, a sharp sound made them both turn. A tall, dark alien with glowing red eyes was watching them from a distance. He quickly disappeared into the crowd. Daniel felt a sudden fear. Who was that? Serenya's face hardened. "Not everyone wants me to have freedom." That night, Daniel could not sleep. His thoughts raced between the beautiful princess and the shadowy figure. Suddenly, his communicator beeped with a secret message. It was encrypted from an unknown source. "The human is becoming important. Remove him quietly." Daniel's heart stopped. Someone wanted him gone. He looked around his small cabin, feeling the walls close in. This was no longer a simple joke. It was a dangerous game. Days passed slowly aboard the Celestara. The Grand Summit continued with talks about trade and peace, but Daniel Ross found himself caught in a whirlwind of emotions and secrets. Princess Serenya did not avoid him anymore. In fact, she sought him out in quiet corners of the station, away from the watchful eyes of diplomats and guards. Each meeting brought them closer, as if a fragile thread connected their worlds. One afternoon, Daniel found Serenya waiting for him near the station's botanical garden. Strange plants from many planets grew there, their colors bright and their shapes odd. It was a peaceful place among the cold metal walls. "Lieutenant?" Serenya greeted him with a soft smile. "Thank you for coming." Daniel nodded. "I wanted to see you, and I like this place. It feels alive." Serenya looked around and sighed. It is strange to be alive and feel so trapped. They walked slowly among the plants. Serenia spoke of her life, the endless duties, the strict rules, the expectations. She told Daniel how her marriage was already planned with a powerful warlord from her empire. The marriage was meant to unite two strong families and keep peace, but she did not want it. Daniel listened carefully. "Do you want to marry him?" Shook her head. "No, I want freedom. I want to choose my own path, but my people would never accept that." Daniel felt a new respect for her. Humans believe in choice. We fight for it. Serenia's eyes sparkled with hope. "Your world sounds different. Sometimes I wonder if it is better." Their talk was suddenly interrupted by a loud noise. Nearby, an explosion in the docking bay. Daniel's military training took over. "Stay here," he said, running toward the sound. When he reached the scene, he saw a damaged supply ship. Flames flickered, and smoke rose quickly. Among the wreckage, a figure slipped away into the shadows. Daniel's heart raced. Was this an accident? Or something more? Later, back in the botanical garden, Daniel found Serenia waiting, worry clear on her face. "I heard about the explosion," she said. Daniel nodded. "It was no accident. Someone tried to harm me." Her face grew serious. "You are in danger because of me," Daniel looked at her. "Because of us." Serenia reached out and took his hand. "I want to help you, but I fear what might happen if we are discovered." Daniel squeezed her hand gently. "We will be careful." In the days that followed, Serenia showed Daniel parts of the station. Few visitors saw the Volari quarters, the ancient libraries, the secret gardens. She asked many questions about Earth, about humans, and about love. Daniel explained that love was not just about power or politics. It was about trust, respect, and hope. Serenia listened, her eyes wide with wonder. One evening, as they watched the stars from a quiet balcony, Serenia whispered, "If only my people could see what I see." Daniel smiled. Maybe one day they will. But danger was never far. Daniel's communicator beeped again, this time a warning. "Trust no one!" He looked around nervously. Who could he trust? Could he trust Serenia? The shadowy alien from before appeared once more. This time, closer and watching silently. Daniel knew that his simple joke, "Marry me, then," had started something much bigger than he had ever imagined. The Celestara space station felt colder that day. The usual chatter in the grand hall was replaced by tense whispers and hurried footsteps. The peace summit was nearing its end, but trouble was growing faster than anyone expected. Lieutenant Daniel Ross sat quietly in a meeting room. His mind raced as he thought about the warning messages and the danger around him. The simple joke he had made with Princess Serenia was no longer just a joke. It had become a threat to many powerful people. The Volari Empire was at the center of the storm. The Empire's leaders were angry that their princess had shown kindness to a human, let alone smiled at him. Marrying outside the Volari race was unheard of. It was seen as a weakness. Daniel remembered the last conversation with Serenia. She had told him her marriage to a warlord was already planned. This marriage was meant to end a long conflict with another empire. If it fell apart, war could start again. Daniel understood the weight of the problem. If Serenia refused the marriage, her empire could fall into chaos. If she accepted it, she would lose her freedom forever. His commander called him again. "Lieutenant, you must stay out of this. Your safety is our priority." But Daniel shook his head. "I can't just watch. I want to help." She sighed but didn't argue. Daniel decided to find Serenia. He wanted to know if there was any way to stop the marriage without causing war. He found her in her private quarters. She looked tired and worried. Daniel, she said softly, it's too late. My people have made their choice. Is there no way to change it? Daniel asked. Serenia looked at him with hope in her eyes. There might be, but it is risky. Daniel leaned forward. Tell me. She explained that there were rumors of corruption in the Valeri court. Some leaders wanted the warlord to marry her only because it would give them more power. If proof of this corruption could be found, the marriage could be canceled. Daniel's heart raced. This was his chance. He gathered a small team. A smuggler, captain named Tessa who knew the station's hidden places, an alien noble named Kalen who had lost favor in the court and wanted revenge, and a few trusted human marines. Together, they planned a secret mission to find evidence of corruption. The risk was high, but the reward could save Serenia and keep peace. The team moved carefully through the shadows of the station. They used hidden tunnels, avoided guards, and hacked into secure systems. After days of searching, they found a secret room. Inside were documents and recordings proving that some Valeri leaders had planned to force the marriage for their gain. Daniel felt a mix of relief and fear. They had what they needed, but now the danger was greater than ever. As they prepared to leave, alarms sounded. The station's security forces had discovered their intrusion. The team ran through the corridors, chased by Valeri guards. Daniel's heart pounded as they reached a hangar bay, where small ships waited. Serenia met them there, her face determined. I will not be a pawn, she said. Let's end this. Together, they escaped the station just before it went into lockdown. Safe for a moment, Daniel looked at Serenia. This is only the beginning, he said. Serenia nodded. I know, but now I have hope. The escape from the Celestara space station had been tense and dangerous. Daniel Ross and his small team, along with Princess Serenia, had slipped away just before the station locked down. But they were not safe yet. The Valeri Empire would not let the princess go easily. The powerful warlord promised her hand in marriage would send soldiers to bring her back by force. Daniel knew they had to act fast. They docked their small ship on the edge of a busy trade station far from the summit. Here, no one knew Serenia's true identity. For now, she could hide. But Daniel also knew this was only a temporary solution. They needed a plan to stop the arranged marriage for good. Daniel called Tessa, the smuggler captain, in the ship's small command room. We need help. More than what we have now. Tessa smiled. I know a few people who owe me favors. Let me make some calls. Soon a small group of allies gathered. Skilled pilots, former soldiers, and a few diplomats who wanted peace. They were not many, but they were determined. As they planned, word came that the warlord's forces were searching the sector. Time was running out. Serenia stayed quiet, watching the stars through the ship's window. Daniel sat beside her. What are you thinking? She turned to him. I wonder if this is all worth it. If I run away, I risk starting a war. Daniel looked into her eyes. Sometimes, doing what is right means taking risks. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared. Sensors showed Valeri security ships approaching fast. Daniel grabbed the controls. Get ready, we have to fight. The small group prepared for battle. Pilots moved to their stations, weapons charged. Daniel's heart beat like a drum. The first Valeri ship fired, but Tessa's skills kept their ship moving fast. They dodged blasts and returned fire. Amid the chaos, Daniel thought about Serenia. She was not just a princess. She was a fighter with a brave heart. After a fierce fight, the Valeri ships pulled back. But Daniel knew this was only a delay. We can't keep running, he said. Serenia nodded. We must face this, together. The next day, Daniel led the team in a daring plan to infiltrate the warlord's flagship. Their goal was to stop the forced marriage ceremony and expose the corruption that Daniel's team had uncovered. The team disguised themselves as traitors and gained access to the massive warship. Inside, the atmosphere was cold and tense. They moved through the halls, avoiding guards, until they reached the chamber where the ceremony was to take place. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the room. The warlord himself appeared, a towering figure in shining armor. "So, the human and the princess run away," he said, his voice deep and angry. "You will regret this." Daniel stepped forward. "This marriage is not about peace. It is about power and control. We have proof." The warlord laughed. "Proof? You dare challenge me?" Before the warlord could act, Daniel challenged him to a formal duel, a Valari tradition. The duel would decide the fate of the princess and the marriage. The warlord accepted with a cruel smile. The duel was fierce. The warlord was strong and skilled. Daniel was faster and clever. He used every trick he knew. Finally, Daniel landed a decisive move. The warlord fell. Silence filled the chamber. The warlord conceded defeat. Daniel helped Serenia stand. "Your freedom is yours." The ceremony was canceled. News of the warlord's corruption spread quickly. The Valari leaders grudgingly accepted the new peace terms, surprised by human courage and spirit. Serenia looked at Daniel with gratitude. "You saved me. You saved us." Daniel smiled. "We saved each other." As they left the warship, Daniel knew their journey was far from over. But for the first time, hope shone bright across the stars. The stars outside the window of the small ship shone like distant diamonds. Lieutenant Daniel Ross sat beside Princess Serenia, both tired but hopeful. The warlord's defeat had changed everything, but new challenges were still ahead. As the ship traveled through quiet space, Daniel looked at Serenia. "So, about that marriage I joked about." Serenia smiled softly. "You mean the one I said I wished for?" Daniel laughed. "Yes. Do you still wish it?" She looked out the window, thinking. "Maybe, but not in the way I first thought." Daniel nodded. "Sometimes life surprises us." Their moment of calm was soon broken. The ship's communicator beeped urgently. "Lieutenant Ross, this is Commander Hayes," came the voice. "We've received a message from the Galactic Council. They want to meet with you and Princess Serenia immediately. It's about the peace treaty." Daniel's heart raced. The Council was the highest authority in the galaxy. Their decisions could change everything. "We're ready," Daniel replied. The ship entered the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council's flagship, a massive structure floating near a neutral planet. Inside, representatives from many species sat, in a wide circle, their faces serious. The council leader, a wise alien with calm eyes, spoke first. "Lieutenant Ross, Princess Serenia, your actions have caused great change. The council wishes to hear your story." Daniel and Serenia shared everything. The danger, the corruption, the fight to save the princess's freedom, and the hope for a new future. When they finished, the council leader nodded thoughtfully. "Your courage shows the strength of humanity and the Valari spirit. The council proposes a new treaty, one based on respect and choice, not force." Whispers of agreement filled the hall. The council leader then looked directly at Serenia. "Princess, the choice is yours. You may return to your people or join Earth as a free individual." Serenia took Daniel's hand, feeling the weight of the moment. "I choose freedom," she said quietly. The council smiled in approval. "So it shall be." Back on the ship, Daniel and Serenia prepared to travel to Earth. It was a new beginning, not just for them, but for two worlds. During the journey, Serenia learned more about human life, their hopes and struggles. Daniel shared stories of Earth's history, its failures, and its dreams. One night, under a blanket of stars, Serenia turned to Daniel. You joked about marriage before. Do you still want it? Daniel smiled. I do, but only if it is our choice. She smiled back, her eyes shining with warmth. Then, I accept. The two sat quietly, watching the stars fly by. Their story was no longer just a joke or a secret wish. It was real. It was about hope, courage, and the power of choice. And it was just the beginning.